start, just wait for our cue, okay?
Hey, what are we doing here again? Like Jesus Christ. No worries. Okay. Is Nancy not saying for? Okay, so maybe we can ask.
I didn't know if you were going to ask them.
No, I didn't. Somebody needs to control that.
That's going to be something yourself. So,
Got 5 years on it.
We're waiting for one of the judges, which I did not know was not here yet, so I'm sure that online they're saying, starting soon. So, just overall, has this been a good experience for you guys so far? Would you guys like to see this happen again? Well, we really appreciate you guys taking a chance on us. Doing this because it's a first, I mean, it's an inaugural event. What's really cool is it's the first in Ontario as far as we know. So you guys are part of something that's super fantastic and may set a trend all over the nation. So kudos to you guys. You guys are putting in so much work. I'm really excited. Hi judges. I really am so appreciative of all of you. Some of you have been with us throughout the weekend. Some of you it's your first time with us. We really appreciate you guys taking some time out of your incredibly busy schedule to come here and listen to these fine folks pitch their ideas and their thoughts on how we can make the agricultural, eco-tourism, yada 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 sectors all so much better and more profitable here in Canada and probably the world. Some of these ideas could potentially affect, think about that, some of your ideas could affect the entire world.
judges, you have 2 minutes after the presenters do their pitches for a Q&A, and then the next team after that moves onto the stage. The pitches will be evaluated upon the following 5 criteria. Clear and well-explained idea, potential of the idea, future viability, market, can this idea be taken to the market, and presentation, so how the participants present.
Can't hear you.
You can't.
Not right next door.
Okay. Can you hear me now? So, all right. Were you guys okay? You guys with the rules for the pitches then? Were you able to hear that? Okay, perfect. So let me introduce you to your judges. I would like to start with Dr. Amy Prue, right here in the middle. So Amy is a professor and program coordinator at the Culinary and Innovation in Food Technology at the Canadian Food and Wine Institute at Niagara College. And Amy works on product development, commercialization of food products at the college, where she has taken on various roles such as educator, consultant, and researcher. She's also a recipient of the Canadian Institute of Food and Science Technology Award. Our next judge I would like to introduce to you is Hugh Fraser. Hugh is an agricultural engineer who recently retired from the provincial government. He now operates OTB Farm Solutions, mainly dealing with rural-urban issues, which are increasing in this densely populated Golden Horseshoe. Thank you. Hugh grew up on a dairy farm and has worked with every type of agriculture that there is in Ontario. I'd like to introduce next Sugata Hari. Sugata is the founder and CEO of Korechi Innovations, Inc. Sugata is a mechanical and materials engineer with over 5 years of experience in the field, with keen interest in innovation. Korechi Innovation specializes in design of autonomous products for the use of farming and turf care. Next, I have Hugh Schollert. So Hugh works for the National Research Council of Canada as an industrial technology advisor. Hugh holds an MACS degree Master Science degree from the University of Toronto, Institute of Aerospace for Studies. He is an entrepreneur who created a company which eventually became a major TSE listed firm, and has been working with the National Research Council of Canada as an industrial technology advisor since 2016. And last but not least, Brad Berg. Brad is the founder and CEO of Mapex, which focuses on open source GIS solutions and associated software. He has volunteered with Geospatial Niagara Inc. and is a consultant and trainer focused on open source GIS solutions and associated software. Thank you. Okay, so now we will welcome our first team and their pitch presentation.
Hi everyone, my name is Owen and this is Disha. My team and I, we are challenged in the production and environmental category, where we have the challenge of implementing automation and improving the environment. First off, I want to ask the question, is it possible in downtown Toronto to be able to grow 1 million heads of lettuce every year? Well, that's true. The first problem that everyone here in the agricultural industry knows is that climate change and overpopulation is a huge problem implementing and impacting on our society. Now the problem that we have, for example, we've seen the Amazon rainforest burning. This is because we need more room for agricultural land. But without this, we cannot feed the 1 billion people every day that go hungry. Now what we need to do, we need new, simple innovation that is able to stop this problem.
Well, in our solution, we decided to use aeroponic growing for our plant growth. Basically, aeroponics is a method of growing without using soil, but rather using a mist that contains nitrogen, phosphorus, and potassium, which are the main nutrients that plants need to grow.
product, first off, our product is highly customizable to any farmer and their needs. Now, the three main categories that our farm is based off of. First off, the land. How are we able to decrease our land usage to allow the city to prosper and have more room? Secondly, how can we recycle our water to stop the impact that we have on the environment, such as runoff? And also, how in the air, how are we able to expand upwards that does not encounter as many environmental effects?
So our system has a design using a PVC pipe pillar with 36 sections, so one for each plant. And at the top, there's a heating system, a hook, and a sprinkler. And at the bottom, there's the cooling system. And for our technical side, how it works is the nutrient solution at the top is sprayed for 3 to 5 seconds every 5 minutes, and all the excess solution goes to the bottom of the plant. The heater boils that, and that evaporates to the top, and at the top there's a cooler which condensates that, which makes it back to liquid. That process goes over and over again.
Now next, we have some quick numbers for you. Approximately 16,200 heads are capable of being grown every month in one of our medium-sized facilities. Next up, 27 plants per meter squared is a ratio of how many plants we can grow per meter compared to 6.4 on the average soil farm. Next up, zero carbon emissions will be made after the constructional phases.
How our sprinkler component works is when the solution is evaporated from the bottom, it rises to the top, and the cone guides that gas inside of the outer rim. That outer rim has that cooling system, which causes it to condensate and turn back to liquid, and then that liquid is again sprayed again. How our hook system works is there's a hook on top of every pillar, and that connects to the slide. That slide rail goes inside of our back track system, and that moves very nicely, and the electricity made from the rails power the aeroponic poles.
Next up, the grid-like layout we have is inspired from many industries, such as the environmental, aviational industry, and also the mining industry. Now, some of the big inspiration behind this, some of you might know the movie Monsters, Inc. and the door scene that they have. Now, in relation to this, they're using electrified tracks to be able to do vertical storage. This is capable of decreasing land. Now, over here towards the bottom right of the screen, we also have some quick demonstrational numbers showing what different size farms can produce. Next up, a quick comparison. Figure 1 shows that there is a large increase in the aeroponic systems, and it shows that approximately 123% increase is capable of being grown. Next up, some quick pros and cons about this. Now, the big picture here is that growing with soil, this is going to be something of the past. Not every major city has soil resources, and this is taking up a lot of room. So we need to build up and use water. Next up, so as I mentioned before, 123% more acre is able to be produced. Carbon neutrality after constructional phases, decreases in labor forces, and also this can be placed in both urban and rural areas. And finally, a quick overview. It's very important that the design of the system is derived from existing techniques because this can prove that the innovation behind this is feasible and possible. As you may notice, we're not using robot arms because that's not feasible for every farm. However, using innovation from different industries that we already know works, that is going to be successful. And however, no matter how many problems our generations are faced with, whether it's the overpopulation problem or the climate crisis, we need innovative solutions that work. Thank you.
Are there any questions from our judges for our lovely first team?
Okay, good. Good presentation.
Thank you.
What do you anticipate that the cost per plant might be compared to conventional systems? Twice as much? 5 times as much?
Well, we can definitely start off by saying that it will be a decreased price per plant in our systems because, of course, first off, land fees. We're using a lot less land because we're essentially taking the 1 acre, as you could imagine, and we are stacking it on top of each other, essentially creating almost like a skyscraper or building out of these plants. Now, by doing this, this is able to reduce the amount of cost for the plant, and it would be a lot smaller. As one of our numbers had mentioned, we are able to produce a lot more plants. It was about 27 plants per meter squared, which is compared to about 6.4 plants per meter squared on the average soil farm. So because of that, we could definitely suspect it would be a lot lower of a cost. Therefore, our aeroponics system would be able to put a lot more profit back into the pocket of these farmers.
Good presentation.
Thank you.
I like vertical grow tubes. They're great. One question, technically. You talked about a heater at the base and the cooling unit at the top. And you're talking about spraying fertilizer to the roots,
Yeah.
and then having that solution heated and then evaporated and perhaps condensed on the top. Is that correct?
Yes.
Have you looked into whether the nutrients would evaporate with the water or whether it would end up solidifying on the base?
We have looked a little bit into that, and there is obviously a little bit of evaporation that would occur, but because we are using that evaporation condensation system, we aren't using as much of that nutrient solution, so it is better for the environment. And if needed, we could add different types of technology, such as nanotechnology, which has been proven to encapsulate different nutrients and take them into the plant where they're needed to help with the delivery of the nutrients.
Okay.
And also, in addition, the concept of our microclimate is predicted to only result in about a 15% loss of the water quality through the heating and cooling and the changes of state and matter just because of the conversion of mass.
Thank you.
Go ahead. You just
Who's your competition? And not in this room, but who are the competitors who are already doing capsule farming?
Well, I think our competitors would be many fertilizer groups, because they can be like, oh, we're growing plants at this much more biomass and things like that, but they're taking up more space while we're using less space, and also different types of sustainable agriculture systems such as hydroponics, more aeroponics, and fogponics as well. Those type of systems would be our competition.
Also, in addition, today we do see the springing up of many new innovations that are attempting to decrease the amount of soil land that is being used. However, there has been no innovational project that is implementing the idea of a microclimate on individual plants.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Going first is always the most challenging position, but now they get to relax for the rest of the afternoon, so good job. Now, before we move on to our next team, which is team number 3, we're going to do our random draw for the next 3 teams. So, here we go. So, team number 11, team number 15, and team number 10, please begin to prepare yourselves to come up. And we will bring up team number 3 in just a second. Now, I understand that I got my right and my left wrong, and that presenters are supposed to actually go to the other side and not present from here. I am French Canadian. I get my rights and my left wrong all the time. Drives my husband crazy when we go driving. So I apologize. I apologize to the first team. And so moving forward, please, when you come up, guys, go behind the screen and go to the mic on the other side. So if we could have team number 3 come up. We are waiting with bated breath. Thank you. I'm to stay at the podium. And I'm okay. I want to say hello to our online watchers. Thank you so much for joining us today to the very first agricultural tech, or AgriTech, my goodness, where'd that come from? Hackathon being held in Beamsville, Ontario. And as far as we know, it's the first in Ontario. So we are very excited that you are joining us today. And yeah, we look forward to an exciting, riveting afternoon. of original ideas and pitches. These people have been working really hard this weekend, and it's going to be super exciting. Come on up. Go to the other side, please. Other side, yeah. Other side, yes. Okay. And now I think we're ready to continue with our second pitch. So this is team number 3.
Good afternoon, everybody. We're a team from Durham College, and we are here to present to you an irrigation optimization solution. Now, what if I told you your plants can actually talk to you? Yes, you looked surprised. Yes, your plant can actually talk to you at a very high frequency of about 100 kilohertz, and this can be sensed using a bioacoustic sensor which picks up ultrasonic sound. And this is very important because we can use this to reduce the cost of production, crop production, and increase crop yield. Now, how are we going to do this? So take, for instance, if we have like a certain year where we have a drop in crop production or a drop in So take, for instance, in a certain year, there was like a reduced price in water. And for that year, we have to produce crops rather than, take, for instance, in 2011, we had drop in rainfall. And according to OMAFRA, this drop caused a 35% reduction in the price of crops. Now, we've been able to, I take that again. So according to OMAFRA, in the year 2011, there was like a 30% decrease in rainfall. And this 30% decrease in rainfall caused a 25% decrease in harvest, and also a 4% increase in the cost of in the prices of crops. And also for every acre of farm over irrigated, you're going to get $4 more. You're going to spend $4 more. I'll explain that. So we have developed a system called OptiPop, which we intend to use to optimize irrigation. And this system is based on the capillarity, or the popping sound made by the capillarities of a plant. And we pick up the signals and we transmit it to a data point which we are able to capture, and we capture other signals like the signal from the soil or using the soil gauge, and we also capture the weather data, or we integrate it to weather data APIs, which we're able to combine and as well predict when a crop requires water or not. And using these three systems, or using these 3 data points, we're able to optimize our system, not over irrigating the farm or as well under irrigating it in situations of drought. So who would benefit from this? We have the farmers, we have the food retailers, and we have, of course, final consumers. And overall, we have the human race, as we have situations where we're talking about solving global water crisis. So in the future, we hope to use this to also figure out how plants are being affected by insect attacks. And with this, we can also help further improve the system in the future and reduce cost of crop production. Thank you.
Hi, thanks for the presentation.
You're welcome.
What are the advantages of your system over a regular soil moisture probe? where we can already optimize it for different plant species?
The advantage of our system over a regular soil sensor, the difference is when you're using a soil sensor, the farmers actually guess and actually, let's say, release the valve at intervals, just when they perceive that the crop actually requires water. Now, this could also cause like over irrigation, whereby the crop gets water it doesn't require. And rather than that, our system, the crop tells us when it needs water. And with this, we're able to give the crop water only when it needs it, and saving costs.
Basically, the soil condition gauges, they are taken every day. We spoke to actual farmers who are with us yesterday, and they said they do it in a daily manner. But with this sensors, immediately after the crop is affected with lack of moisture, it sends a signal directly to us, and automatically we have the irrigation sending the water. So it's done in a timely manner. The moment the plant speaks, we are there to respond. Instead of taking a daily or an hourly gauge of the soil moisture.
I have 2 questions for you. The first one is, you mentioned that insects, or when a plant is stressed, will change the acoustic signals. How do you differentiate between that kind of signal and a signal that it's actually in need of water?
So we right now don't have that data, but this was based on a research made by a Dr. Alexander Pamanikro, and he figured out like there is actually a stress caused on the plants when insects do attack them, but he hasn't been able to differentiate it. But for now, we have clearly ascertained that when there is a water shortage, the plants produce the signals that we can actually identify currently.
Our main solution was with irrigation. So when we were looking, we thought this was a really good opportunity to look further apart from irrigation as well. We did most of the research in how the plant would react to water. But when we are looking at how this OptiPop can actually help in other things, we just thought that insects would be an additional requirement, but that is not our main use case. Our main use case, we are focusing more on water with an additional in the future. If we have the enough funds to research more on that, we are looking to optimize it for crop and overall health of the crop, not just to irrigation. That is a future viability that we're looking into, but not our main focus for this project right now.
Have you also, the second question is the implementation costs of something like this relative to the savings in water?
Yeah, the total implementation cost comes out to 40,000. That includes the sensors, the signal, the Wi-Fi repeaters which we would use to bounce the signals across the area, the software cost for developing this whole thing, and also the salaries included. Total cost of implementation would come out to 40,000. That is approximately for 100-acre land.
And you would be polling not all plants, presumably?
No, so it basically works like there will be 2 sensors per acre. So if that thing is being affected, it'll just send a signal saying that sector A is being affected. So just send the irrigation as soon as possible.
Thanks.
So coming back to the soil moisture problem, you can leave them in the ground and they stay there. So it's not dependent. But the advantage of leaving it in the ground is, say you're harvesting corn, you cut down, leave maybe 8 inches off the ground and the entire plant is ground up. What happens to your sensor in that case?
You mean to say that the plant is not above the ground, it's below? Or?
In your case, you mount your sensor on the plant directly, right? Say corn as an example. Now, when you're harvesting corn, the plant is ground down, it's chopped up, and you leave only like 8 inches off the ground.
So we are not specifying, like we are not restricting it to the top of the plant. That is something, mostly when we think of plants, we think of the overall vision. That's why we kept it on the top of the plants. We are not restricting it. We can keep it in any part of the plant, even the roots for the small plants. But there's no restriction that only the top or the one below the ground or above the ground.
Where is the sensor actually sitting? Is it sitting right on the plant, or is it actually connected to the plant?
It's connected to the plant so that the capillary action of the plant can be noted. So what we understand
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
That was great. Thank you so much. And so while the judges are just gathering their thoughts, team number 10, if you could please come, as well as number 15, and then number 11. So if you guys want to gather your technology, bring it to the table, and then make your way to your left, I guess, your right, my left. There's that directional thing again. That would be great. We have a clicker right here. Are you the next team up? Oh, okay. Yes. Number 10 is right now, yes. Okay. So number 10, are you ready to come up? There we go. If we could have the speakers for number 10 come up on the stage, please, that would be fantastic.
But we need the other one to also work. Can we have the other one work too?
No, you can't. This is the microphone that they're doing. You have to stand up. Why do they want you standing up?
No, you need two separate mics, and we asked for that at the very beginning. We need two separate mics.
Okay, let me check.
Yeah.
Hello.
Check to see if the slide works, the clicker.
You have the clicker. Do you have the clicker?
Well, if not, we can just take this out.
How does this work? Forward, back?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, it's this way.
Okay.
Okay, perfect.
Okay.
Introduce yourselves.
Introduce ourselves?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Welcome. We would like to present to you the Eco app, the all-in-one travel app for everyone, everywhere. We address the issue of ecotourism and sustainability challenge. Illustrated here are the three main problems facing Niagara. The Eco app will promote sustainability, market the destination, educate consumers, and stimulate the economy. We base this on the three pillars of ecotourism, the balance between social, environmental, and economic. The solution, the Eco app, a travel assistance app that informs tourists on destinations matched to their interests.
Hello, Jerry.
Good morning, Janice.
I'm going to Niagara today. Can you plan my trip?
Say please.
The Eco app automatically pops up on a phone when someone enters the destination borders, introducing Niagara as a sustainable destination, and it will be a voice-driven app similar to Siri, However, on the landing page, we'll also have the ability to plan your trip, to find out what's going on today, and to differentiate your interests. There are 4 main benefits for tourists. It's reliable current information, it's destination-oriented, it has a full spectrum of tourism opportunities, and provides discounts on tourist sites. There are 3 main benefits for businesses: direct marketing to niche markets, a full spectrum of tourism opportunities, and data generated for future promotions and investments. And 4 main benefits for the environment: sustainable carrying capacity, defined destinations that protect the natural environment, it justifies future investments, and it provides education and awareness.
Based on your interests, here's what I have planned for you today.
Oh, that's a good map, but I want to go strawberry picking, then I want to go on a hike and see a winery.
There are 5 strawberry picking locations near you. The closest is Cherry Lane. Take your first left.
The sustainable carrying capacity outlines that there are 45 spaces available and 45 spaces taken and 50 available. It reduces environmental impact and mass tourism, and the capacity numbers are measured by geolocation, updating 24/7. It's a 2-way database, provides numbers of visitors, demographics, and a place of origin. The data populated by visitors booking on the sites and by drop-ins. Businesses will also get to know how many visitors are coming each hour, and the visitor data is available for future marketing and investment. Did I miss one? Advertising on high travel destination routes, income generation. Advertising on high travel destination routes, annual fees, event advertising fees, and premier services for tourists.
Excellent. Jerry, I would like to go to Cherry Lane.
Currently, there are 45 spots there, with 50 spots left.
Great. Can you book me?
For sure.
Okay. So that's your 3rd.
Yeah, next to the beautiful flower. No.
Keep going. Keep going. What do you want me to say?
Okay, just go to the next.
Okay. Well, what a beautiful flower.
Woo, 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 woo! Attention, Janice. You're entering a protected area.
The app notifies the user if they are going into a protected area.
I have some garbage I want to throw out, Jerry.
There's a garbage can, Janice, 2 kilometers down the road.
The Eco app is different from any other tourist destination mapping or information website. It's environmentally sustainable because it requires a business to set a sustainable carrying capacity. It's economically viable. It creates a tourism database accessible to businesses who join, and it provides data on tourism attendance for businesses and tourists. Most importantly, it shows how busy a tourist destination is. It provides information on parking, information on the general information of the destination, and it reduces the environmental footprint of a trip.
Wow, I love it here, Jerry.
Say yes if you want to know the historic history of Hansberger Estate Winery.
Thank you.
I can shout? Oh, okay, good. Kudos for using real-life, local places and a good interactive presentation. By the way, Cherry Lane has no strawberries, just so you know. So my question is, very good. I just want to make a comment. Very good. I love the interactive stuff. It's very good, and I could see people actually using this.
Thank you.
So recently I spoke with a client, and we were talking about the creation of an app for their particular needs, and the question came up, but people just don't want to download apps. They want more of a instant gratification. They want the service. For example, this was a bike tour service. They just want to pick up a map and go. They don't want to fiddle with apps or surrender more information or take on anything more. So how do you feel that people will use this app and download it, and because it seems to have a very deep data set, which would be necessary in order for it to work?
So to answer your first question, we are looking into offline solutions as well, as in if you were to plan your trip, you can pick up, let's say, a little device that has all the offline packaging of your trip, but this app is specifically for those that are planning their trip. So they are actively, you just speak to Jerry, as we discussed, and it will plan your trip just like how you were to pick up a map and go. There's no real behind the scenes, so you can modify it, unlike how you can modify a map. And to answer your question, can you repeat the last part of your question? I apologize.
No worries. My discussion with a client just recently was that they didn't want to go with a custom app because they felt that people just didn't want to download them, as being so many apps now available.
Yeah, just to answer that, you could download it or just keep it on your phone. And the idea with the whole system is that it's a one-stop shop. So you're not going through 10 or 15 websites, you're going to one and getting all your questions answered.
And it's delivered to you on a silver platter. It's an automatically producing app. So similar to how when you enter the United States, your phone updates you, you are now entering the United States. We're going to charge you $1 million for using your data. This would say, you're entering Niagara region. We welcome you. We are a sustainable tourism destination. Download this app to help plan your trip. So there's no labor involved from the consumer's end.
And to specifically answer that question about why would I as a bike shop want to use an app service? So say, for example, downtown Niagara-on-the-Lake, you get a bus of 100 people that are coming to your bike shop. How would you then, you say you sent 2 people home because it's not really busy, it's not that time of season, maybe it's nearing the season, end of the season. And what this app will do will help organize that bike shop to say, hey, we have 100 bike people that want to ride bikes today. So what it will do is will then notify the shop saying, hey, we have this many people coming to your store, so that way they can staff appropriately. So it is sort of a benefit to them.
I just have a couple of comments. I guess the first thing, it's a nice idea, and I think, I guess if you don't use it as an app, you could always go to a website, a web page actually to access the information.
That's right. It's a web app. That's correct.
Right. So the next bit is there's a significant amount of potential data that you're going to have to collect and manage. Am I correct in assuming that the venues that are going to be on the app are going to have an ability to interact and actually update the information? Is that correct?
Yeah, so the idea would be if you are a tourism destination that you would have sensors right on your entry points that would feed directly back into the system, so it would be continually updated as to how many are attending, how many are in the parking lots. There would be sensors for everything. And even along trails where we did that simulation, that if you go off the trail in certain areas, protected areas, you could have sensors there as well.
So you were talking about protection of data. So what it will do is it will ask you, Jerry will ask you, what's your name? And what it will do is we'll attach a string to that name. So say Ben, Ben 1, 2, 3, 4, and then Ben again 1, 5, 6, 7. And then what it will do, it will then allocate whatever you're doing to that name associated, and say you want to reuse it, that same location, go back and visit, have the same sort of trip, you can then have the option of saving it to offline while giving passwords and stuff. So it's not, we're not asking for personalized information, it's literally just it's for those that want to have a trip that's just spontaneous in a sense.
Hi, who would you say is your biggest competitor in the space? And I'm not clear on who is paying for it.
So just the income generation would be that there would be an annual fee for businesses that would go into it. And then as they advertise events, weekend events and so on, there would be a small fee for that as well. There would also be a premium service for tourists that want to have a more individualized experience. They could, say, pay a small fee and be able to plan out over a longer period of time instead of a day for maybe do a whole week, and that would be a premium service. And sorry, what was your first part of your question?
Who's the biggest competitor?
Yeah, well, there are other places that do mapping and so on, but there's nobody else that will be doing what we are doing, which is establishing a sustainable capacity for each business and then updating what those numbers are. As far as we know, we don't know of anybody out there, but we do know of other companies that are doing mapping for tourism mapping for different routes.
So to specifically answer that question, TripAdvisor could be one potential, because they have all the data already, they can potentially use this and update it to sort of modify what they have already to this. But essentially it's different, and we can purchase our own and modify it and create something different. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you, team number 10. And as the judges debrief, let's have team number 15 please come to the platform. That would be much appreciated. And then following team number 15 will be team number 11. And team number 11, and if you could make sure that your technology is already over there, that would make things much easier, please.
When they start, you want them to say their numbers? Okay.
So coming up is team number 15. There we go. So while team number 15 is getting set up, team number 11, please bring your technology and be waiting on the side wings there, please. Much appreciated. Okay, so team number 15. So you need to, if you're not speaking, you stand on the side. If you are speaking, then you stand in front of the microphone, okay? So if you're speaking, directly in front. If you're not, stand on the red X, please.
Okay.
Okay?
Excuse me?
We
have to remove them.
No, it's fixed. No, it's fixed. Yeah. Okay.
Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Daravi, and these are my colleagues Shrey, Dilshir, and Shamil sitting down there. We're group number 15, and the problem we were given were diseases and pests. So today we'll be pitching our idea on neural farming. So we'll begin by a statistic that we found to be very concerning. So every year, a farmer loses $35,000 annually just on his vineyard per 50 acres of his farmland. And this happens due to the inefficient usage of pesticides and insecticides. So now, what if I told you that there's a very simple and cost-efficient way to turn these losses into profits, as well as minimize the environmental damage and reduce the usage of harmful chemicals?
So, as you can see, autonomous drones, they have unlimited potential for applications, and we'll be using the same thing for our farming procedures. Now, autonomous drones have been driven into every industrial sector as much as possible, and also into farming. The current scenario for the farming, it is like utilized for, for insecticide spraying, for different analogy like irrigation systems also, and for analyzing on the top view of it. So, next slide please. So as you can see, the current scenario is what we used as the main issue is the grape vineyard. For vineyards, the top view is not an essential solution for analyzing systems for the pests or the infestations, or we can say the weed infestations, etc. So over here, we first analyze the first problem for precision data analysis was the top view. If a drone is moving on the top of the farm, it is not possible to get accurate measures on the amount of pests or the weeds or the diseases. So for this, we found a solution that why not make the drone flow as near to the ground and parallel to the vineyards. Like these are the vineyards, and on parallel with it, it will flow. So there we got stuck with the problem of the bandwidth, where the drone is not having enough bandwidth to connect to the main database central server and transmit the data. So for this, we have a great solution for you. So next slide, please. As you can see, the whole farm is placed with geofencing. Now what is geofencing is, we'll distribute our signal boosters all over the farm, leaving no single blind spots. Hence our whole drone system will be connected to each and every spot as much as possible. Now geofencing works like this, where the different signal boosters are placed all around the farms, and it transmits the signal to the drone where it knows its accurate GPS location and will transmit all around the farm. So that is how we solve the low bandwidth signal, where every drone surrounding the farm will get the signal as much as possible at every time. Next slide. So now what our drone will do is, our drone will be mounted with 3 different cameras. One will have the left view, one with the right view, and one with the bottom view. So from the bottom view of it, and once we merge all the 3 images, it will be processed all together and will be processed using our YOLO algorithm, which is you only look once. This algorithm uses advanced vision processing computing systems for detection of pests, weeds, and as well as diseases on any plants. Like for the grapeyards, the diseases several can be detected through computer vision systems. Next slide, please. As you can see over here, a heat map will be generated out of the data being processed. Now farmer doesn't know how to process this. So what we'll do is, the data will be transmitted to a centralized server where we'll process the whole data and we'll provide the farmer with this heat map where we can see the maximum infestation is present in the red areas, maximum weeds, and everything is present. 3 different maps will be generated, one for weeds, one for pests, and one for diseases. And that's how the farmer will know where to work upon what. So that's how we'll present our whole drone system into it, eventually overcoming the low bandwidth problem. So the benefits would be the low fuel cost, as the drone runs on electricity, and we can also use a solar power for it, and we can optimize our solutions for it. No petrol or fuel will be utilized, and hence it will be very cheaper to implement. Labor cost will be low, as no laborers will be utilized for scanning the whole farm for infestations or weeds or anything. The drone system will automatically let the farmer know where the problem stands. It also saves the times, as compared to humans and compared to computers work much faster. So that's why we are also saving the time for this. The future scopes includes the time of harvest as well as stress detection. Now, as it is a computer vision system, we can always see when the grapes are also ripe, because there is low quality and high quality grapes which gets classified. So that's how we will determine also the time to harvest, and that's why we can know which grapes are to be harvested and which are not. And also for the stress detection thing, we can determine a heat map different for that these areas are highly stressed and these are not. So that's it. Thank you. Thank you.
Is this based on existing technology or technology?
Actually, it is existing technology, and we are combining different technologies for it. Algorithm is developed by us, but the drone system is already existing, right? And we are developing a new methodology to use the existing technology. That's how it works.
So this is a combination of vision system with a drone flying below the
Yes.
canopy of the vines. A lot of it seems to be based on image analysis to detect diseases or pests. Do you have these algorithms, or have these been developed, and how successful do you think you will be? Along with that, I imagine that the processing is done through a cloud-based application.
Yeah.
Okay.
So the thing is, there is this algorithm YOLO, which is you only look once. This algorithm predicts, and not say predicts, but it analyzes the whole image for several particles, the length, the breadth, and everything. So it measures that, and based on it, the pixel determination, it finds out whether there's a pest, it is a weed, or it is a disease symptom. Because a normal leaf eventually looks like this, but if it is infected, it will look differently. It analyzes the difference in pattern between both of them, and based on that, it will produce the output, whether it is infected with what disease and where. So that's providing the farmer an optimal solution for utilizing his resources.
I have a comment. Well, for YOLO, you have to have enough training data. So make sure you have enough training data. YOLO is like a few lines of code, just points to the right directories.
Yeah.
Why did you go? The question is, why did you go for drones and not land-based rovers?
In different farmlands, for rovers, it would be like rough surface. Many times it's muddy also due to rains and everything. But that will hinder our process. The rovers won't be that much efficient as a drone would be. It can travel a lot of area much faster than a rover. A rover it cannot race through the farms, but what do you say? A UV drone might be able to capture more data in less amount of time.
One of the problems with drones is just that they can only fly so long. So how would you anticipate, would you have many drones, or would they go back to some kind of power source?
So every drone will be functioned with a specific threshold value of its battery and the distance it needs to cover to go back to the home station, like for the farmer's house. So if the battery level reaches that specific threshold and the distance which our algorithm calculates, it will move back towards the charging station, it will charge and will get on the work.
So coming back to the question, why not use a rover instead of a drone? What speed do you intend to go with on the drone?
As I said, like decreasing the time complexity. Drone will be able to cover more area much faster than a drone.
Give me a number, kilometers per hour.
I'm not sure.
Okay,
sure
let's say 10 kilometers per hour.
All right.
Reasonable? Do you know how many frames per second you'll need at the camera to be stabilized and capturing good quality resolution to capture an insect that's 2 millimeter wide?
The images captured by the cameras would be around 4K images, not 4K, but it would be 1080p. That would provide enough resolution and enough pixels to determine the difference between both of them.
I know, having flown drones for data collection, it's usually the limitation of the drone, being that obstacle avoidance is always the biggest problem, and failure of the aircraft, and flying below a particular height is obviously more dangerous than flying at a greater height, and each vineyard is always different, and so if each was standardized, it wouldn't be a problem, but because you arrive on a site and you don't know, like because you're not familiar, the operator isn't familiar, there always could be some sort of a problem.
Okay.
So how do you feel that you might overcome that obstacle?
Drones are programmed with obstacle detection system first of all, and that obstacle detection system is one of the fastest programming thing into it, because it processes much faster, relying on the real-time data. So that's how it will defines whether it needs to move left or right based on the obstacles. Like vineyards, you cannot predict where the vine will grow. If it grows outside, a drone's fan might get stuck into it. But a real-time obstacle detection system might be able to help it to detect the obstacles and change its altitude accordingly or the direction of it.
Just to clarify, you said the person flying the drone could have issues controlling it?
It's not necessarily controlling the drone, but
Yeah.
sometimes there's software errors, sometimes there's a failure of the system itself. Other times it's showing up at a location and there's things that are unexpected. And so therefore it becomes much more difficult. It's not so automated, it's more hands-on. So there's always things you have to be aware of when you get to one location or another.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you, team number 15. And now we're going to be transitioning to team number 11. However, as the judges are debriefing right now, we're going to pick the next 3 teams. Now, when I call out your number, please take your technology to the table so that it's ready. And then it's far quicker if you actually make your way to the side so that we can filter through a little quicker than we are. Okay, so team number 11 is ready in the wings, but we have team number 13 who will follow team number 11. So please, your technology over there and go sit over here. Team number 12, technology there, sit over here. And team number, you've got to be kidding me, 14. Technology over there, and yourselves over here. Team number 11 is waiting in the wings, and I'm sure they're anxious. So if you want to come on up. If you are not speaking, stand here. Okay. When you are speaking, move it. Okay? Okay. So if you're not speaking, you need to stand on it. Okay, perfect. Okay. Don't forget to tell your number and what area you are doing. Okay? Okay. Perfect. Thank you.
Welcome, everybody. We're Team 11, and we represent Niagara College today. $2.9 billion. $2.9 billion is how much the agriculture sector lost due to labor shortage in 2018. 47% of jobs went unfilled. What if I told you that technology has the answer? We created a platform that connects agriculture to a diverse workforce. This app provides real-time connection between employers and independent contractors. By the click of a button, get notifications now and your boots on the ground today. This has the potential to solve the urgent labor need and logistic issues. How does it work? Simple. Download an app. Employers go, they set up a job profile. Workers go and set up a personal profile. Both parties get real-time notification when profiles are met. Who is the independent contractor? Well, me, you, students, single parents, somebody that just simply wants to make more income, anybody under the sun. You set your own schedule on your own time. Employers get workers now. AgForce app branches out, just like a tree. So today, we plant that seed.
So as you can see, we're working on the issue of production and mobilizing a labor force, which is missing here, and access to it. AgForce connects people and skill to jobs in agriculture. We address and overcome the biggest hurdles in unskilled labor by innovating the hiring and training process, giving you more time to run your business. By providing tools and training to both employers and job seekers, such as access to CAHRC's training toolkit, we make sure the job is done right and done on time when it needs to happen. Once you've completed registration and payment setup, the Job Listings tab will become available to enter your shift information. The system finds your matches and trains them in their language of choice. As you can see here, different parameters can be spelled out in your listing so that you have the option to give them a lunch, and they know that. They know what the perks are before they apply for the job. If you're looking for work, we make it easy, removing the anxiety from the process, know what you need to do the job, and schedule it to suit your needs. As you can see, when they come in, everybody can look at what they are, what training is involved, and then apply for the job. When they go in there, they will have to look at the training and then accept it at the end before they can be scheduled for that shift. So when they come to you, they're already trained and they know what to do. We're focused on, so some of the outcomes that you will find from our system: people who've not been able to work because they haven't had consistent work or they don't speak the language will be able to find time and will be able to communicate. We're focused on sustainability and generate value on a triple bottom line, providing economic benefit, social development, and environmental resource management. We could connect the right people to get the job done and provide benefits to Canadians here in Niagara. As you can see here, we're generating revenues from subscriptions from employers as well as payroll fees. The expansion possibilities for this model are endless. We can start in agricultural work and branch out to everything in food and beyond, including logistics, supply chain issues, everything, including packaging. Let's plant the seed and grow AgForce. Thank you.
One question. Are there other app-based platforms that are similar for other industries?
As far as we can tell, there aren't any that exist. There's things like Indeed, Monster, and foodwork.ca. But what those do is they ask people to apply with their resume. The farmer then has to take time to look at the resume, evaluate it. There's a lot of touches involved in that, whereas this app that we're proposing has a pre-qualification service where the algorithm connects the two based on languages spoken, experience, and those types of things. So as far as we can tell, it does not exist to do something in real time.
I gotta say, I run a small hobby farm. I probably could have used something like this more than a dozen times in the past few years. But with everything that revolves around apps, I think the key issues is always marketing the app to make sure that people are aware of it. So that is usually the biggest stumbling block.
Yeah, so we think because agriculture is so important and this is such a big issue that there would be some government organizations that might want to contribute to help get this thing off the ground and participate with it, and also potentially maybe subsidize the farmer in the labor. I don't know.
I think you might get farm interest. It's workers that should be registering, right?
Marketing department can address that. We are going to be targeting segments of the population that are not traditionally continuously employed, because those are the people that you actually need, not the people who have a job day in and day out. You need the people who are looking for something on a snap basis, right? The job comes up. Let's say somebody has mental health issues and they struggle with anxiety. So they have good days and they have bad days. On those bad days, they stay home. If they were your permanent employee, that would affect your business. In this model, that person on their good day becomes available to work and will make themselves available. The notifications will come up on the system and they will know what to do before they show up, reducing the anxiety. They don't have to sit in a job interview. They don't have to wait for a phone call to see if they've been hired. All of that part is taken out of the process, so it makes it a much more relaxing task to find a job.
And I would say to find them, we're going to be using SEO and SEM, like search engine optimization and search engine marketing, to be able to find people. I know myself, I'm from Toronto, and I wanted to work in farming and agriculture. Now I go to an agri-college, and it would have been fun to be able to try out different places and figure out a way, how do I get into agriculture? Because it's only an hour and a half away, but it feels like there's a lot of barriers when you can't visualize it, right? So marketing is very important. Maybe government employment services we could
immigration
team up with.
The YMCA
Lots of work.
does a lot on employment services for newcomers to Canada.
Content and SEO is a big one, though.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways that we can target those segments. Right now, they're being targeted by companies such as LuLaRoe and Sensi to pay money to try and sell their product and get like a little cut of that. This is a much better option for those people, and they're a large portion of the population. Yeah.
I got a question. So a great concept. I really like your concept. But I do want to point out that farmers right now, they have to advertise in local media before for Canadian workers before they can even have offshore workers.
This is for Canadian workers only.
Yes, and so when they advertise, they get very, very little, if any, response from people because people here don't want to work hard for low wages. So have you got an idea?
I think it's because we set so many barriers before getting to the job, right? Where an app like this, you quickly get a notification, your profile is already set. So it just it takes down all of those barriers around even getting to the job.
And the physical nature of the job is described before you even accept it. You will know what you need to bring, if you need jackets, if you need special shoes, anything like that, if you need to bring gloves. It'll give you a list of the equipment that you need to show up with. And we're going to be training those candidates that are interested in those positions on the app, within the system, as to what they have to learn before they show up. So when they get to you, they already know what they're doing. They're not going to be able to accept the job until they see exactly what the physical expectations are for that position. And I think that is an issue that comes up when you have somebody, what you just pick up, and they don't know what the expectation is. They don't want to continue working on it. If they decide to go into something else, they'll do that, and then we have another person come in who is interested in working on your farm.
And this is also a bit of a temp application. Yeah. So maybe somebody doesn't want to do that for the whole year, but like I used to be in the restaurant business, and there was a lot of people who would love to come out during harvest and crush and work at some wineries when there's peak periods. So I think there are people, I would agree that a lot of Canadians maybe aren't used to that type of work, but I also think if there's different channels or different ways to do it and to experience it, that we might find more people do want to actually reconnect with agriculture and work hard. So,
I was able to pitch.
It's a good question.
Sorry, Chris.
It's a good question.
I was able to pitch the whole app to a gentleman that has a full-time job, office job, and he said, "Where's your app?" I would sign up Saturday and go harvest some apples, So for the worker, the umbrella under worker is basically anybody, even somebody that has already a full-time job but is just looking to earn some extra money on the weekends.
I wanted to say plugged, PLUGGD. To look it up. It's already for food service.
It's for food food service?
It's specific, it's a model exactly like this, and it works.
For food services?
Right.
But it's specifically for food service and event management.
Right. Where I would like to see this go is far beyond just agriculture, because the potential for expansion is really endless. We have a very small infrastructure setup fee to begin with to start up, and then expansion just really, it's minimal investment in order to expand into different disciplines and across Canada and even across the globe.
Yeah,
It's a payroll service also, so that you don't have to worry about going and getting cash yourself. The system takes care of billing. It takes care of everything. It's like the Uber. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Well, thank you so much, team number 11. And now we're going to prepare for team number 13. If we could please have the members of that team while the judges debrief right now. Team number 13. Okay. Team number 14. Okay. Team number 12. I just said 14, so you guys come up. Team number 14, ladies and gentlemen. So don't forget to dance. Dance on the X.
We're team 14. Our area is production and environment. And okay, here we go. We would like to introduce to everybody the orchard sorter. Now, what's an orchard sorter? Well, we're going to tell you. What you see here on your left-hand side is a brief flow chart of how fruit would typically move from your field to your consumer. Starting at the field, you would cool it down so that it is a little bit firmer and can handle further processing without bruising, at which point you would send it through a pre-sorting line that would determine fruit that has already been bruised or has surface defects, scabbing, such sort of things like that that make it a little bit less appealing for the market in a bag or in a tray, as you see in your grocery store. That's diverted for pressing for juices or ciders, and the pristine fruit goes on to be packaged into the store. So as you can see, there's a fair bit of logistics and energy involvement required in that. So the idea here is, why don't we sort in the orchard and eliminate this pre-sorting step here? What you have then is you're diverting straight from the field your blemished, bruised fruit immediately for processing, rather than expending the energy to cool it and put it through the packing line to get it to a fresh market. So anywhere from 12 to 30%, depending on the particular fruit itself or the time of year or the growing season you've had, may be diverted for pressing. So you can have a fairly significant portion of your fruit that now can go straight to your pressing process rather than going through your cooler and filling up your pre-sort line. So, how do we find these defects? Lots of camera images are taken of a fruit as it passes by. This is existing proven technology that as the fruit passes past this camera, it is physically rolled on the conveyor, and the imaging system is able to take a full, complete map of the surface. And you can see here where it's identifying different parts of the skin that are appearing different to it. The machine has to be trained, of course, to recognize these, but the software is all available, and this is all done optically. There's also spectroscopical methods of determining fruit defects that can lay beneath the skin. Internal pests. You can determine the Brix or sugar content of the fruit, an indicator of quality. You can deal with the density and the firmness of it, which can give you a little more insight as to how that fruit behaved through its growing pattern. So all of this we propose to do in the field rather than in a separate pre-processing line. Now you'll see here this orchard is full of data, ones and zeros everywhere, but that is spread out over your entire acreage. You're taking your entire crop and averaging out, okay, well, we got this many tons per acre or what have you. If we're sorting in the field and we have our optical and spectral analysis on board while we're packaging, now we can identify sections of that field, specific lengths of the row where that data has been coming from. So this can now lead to variable rate pesticide applications or variable rate nutrient applications, stuff that we're seeing already very well advanced in cash cropping industries where you create yield maps and infer different crop needs based on local settings within your field. Now, how are we going to do this? We're going to try and explain that really quick before we run out of time here. This is just a quick little snapshot of a very large pre-sorting line here, which would be handling many, many, many acres of input. And the next slide here will show you in extreme detail what is going to go on in our little fruit wagon here as we go through the orchard. So all this fruit is packed in bins. Now, if you're going to have, say, 3 grades of fruit coming off of your trees, you can see up in the top there, there's a little camera box where the imaging takes place. And there's a gate system between the 2 sections of the machine that sort it into 3 hoppers. In the back there would actually be 3 hoppers beside each other. From the side view, you can only see 1. Each time a hopper of a specific grade is filled, there's that little piece dangling down as a soft bin loader, which slowly elevates up so as not to damage the fruit, particularly the number 1 grade. And then the bin can be tagged with its 1 single grade of fruit deposited in the orchard, and then picked up by any various means that are utilized today for picking up bins out of the orchard, be it an automated or a simple forklift. Changes on an operation per operation basis. Now, what is this all going to cost, you might ask? It sounds like a pretty fanciful machine, optical spectral imaging rolling through a field. We estimate that probably you would be looking in the neighborhood of $500,000, give or take, for such a machine. Now, where in the world are we going to find all that money on a standard operation? So to take an example operation of maybe about 250 acres of fruit, speaking with some people in the industry, we've come to the determination there's approximately $3 million of annual sales. About $500,000 of their revenue is allocated just to packing this fruit out. Approximately $30,000 a season, give or take, to employ someone. We estimate 2 people could be removed from the pack house and put to work elsewhere in the farm, picking, so on, whatever. There's lots of other jobs to do. Right there, you're looking at approximately $60,000 a season in savings. Reduced cooling capacity, about $2 a square foot, about $10,000 a month. We can probably shave about $2,500 a month. There you've got about $75,000 a year. So we estimate in and around 7-year payback period for such a project.
Thank you.
Very well spoken, by the way, your presentation. So is this a fee for service? Like your business model, does it include a fee for service or a leasing, or is it just direct sales?
This would be a direct sale. There's licensing fees, of course, with the software. That's all other parties, but that, yeah, that's all just going to be one implementation cost, and then the grower could run with it from there.
You've clearly done your homework on apples. Maybe you even grow them, I don't know. Would you not think that you would still sort back at the packing shed?
There would still be packing.
In the pack line, we're still going to have to pack by size for our bag contents and such like that. But in really large operations, they do have a pre-sort where they pick out all the bad stuff, and then when they have a good bin of non-damaged fruit, say class 1, not brown, they'll ship that over to the pack line, and that's where they'll break it down into different sizes. So the pack line would still exist. We're just sorting out all the rot and all the bad stuff before it could ever even make it there.
So would you say apple is an ideal example of a fruit that would use your system?
We would have any tender fruit or stone fruit would be our main focus on this machine. Peaches, pears. We might be able to get into tomatoes, but I don't think so.
Okay. One of the advantages of in-factory packing facility, it's a very controlled environment, clean. How are you going to manage to do that in the field?
Well, if we get rid of a lot of our bad stuff in the field, those bad apples that could be diseased or just rotting, we can actually leave them behind in the orchard. We never have to deposit them into a bin, and we never have to contaminate any of our bins or even our pack house.
I'm not sure I understand the actual economic benefit. Why wouldn't you just pre-sort the apples at the packing house before you cool them?
Because we have to, well, by then they've already been handled 2 or 3 times. They've been dumped in this bin, and then they come out of there, and then they get dumped in another bin. And we're trying to handle the fruit less and not bother transporting any of the bad stuff or not transporting any of the cider quality apples twice.
Oh, I see. Okay.
We only just bring them right to the press house, and we don't have to bring them to the pack house for sorting at all.
The picking process is sort of the bottleneck of the whole operation. It's already moving, at a slow speed. So this sorting process can happen faster than the picking process can. So by bringing it along in tow, we're getting that process out of the way while we're already doing the bottleneck thing, and this way everything is going right where it needs to go and not bouncing back and forth between different facilities.
Thanks.
Thank you, team number 14. Team number 14. Now, before I pick the next, I just want to make sure that team number 12 or 13 is not here. Okay, well, we're going to keep going then. Okay, let's see. We have team number, up next, team number 5. If you could bring your technology here and then come to the side wing, that would be great. Following team number 5 will be team number 6. I don't know why I put them in these, because apparently they just want to keep following each other anyways. So team number 6, your technology over there, and just go wait on the side wings. And then team number 5, you guys are on now. And oh, look at that, team number 16. Team number 16, technology over there, and go wait on the side wings. So next is 5, following that will be 6, following that will be 16. Okay? Okay, number 5, you all ready to go? Oh, you're number 12. Okay, apparently number 12 is coming up. That's fantastic. Okay, so number 12 is coming, followed by 5, followed by 6, followed by 16. Okay, number 5, or 12, sorry, go. This is getting confusing.
Hey everybody, I'm team 12. This time the I is in team. And my name's Dan, and I'd like to present what I worked on this weekend. Seedly. There we go. Okay, so first of all, I would like to introduce my problem. So I had the infrastructure problem, which focused on irrigation. A couple quick facts. is that for every 1 hectare that gets 1 inch of rain, you need around 253,000, I believe I got that number correct, liters of water. That's a huge amount. And then to put that into more perspective, in Canada, we have 538,000 hectares alone of irrigated cropland. And then, to put this into more perspective, 40% of our food comes from irrigated cropland. Now, is that just my problem, or is that everybody's problem? In my opinion, it's everybody's problem. So, what is the solution? Well, actually, there's a bunch of solutions out there. We struggled to find a solution that wasn't already done. So, for example, there's already smart irrigated croplands. There's auto-leveling, where they level out the bed, and the water just sort of flows across it. There is open-source data aggregation platforms, the ADAPT plugin. There is indoor farms, which control all the variables. You don't need to worry about that. Everything goes directly to the plant. So all that exists already. So now, why are these not used? Well, growing up in a farm background, the #1 rule is, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. And I believe that applies here as well. So, how am I going to fix this problem? Well, I want to bring to attention the consumers, or bring the consumers' attention to the farmers who apply the best practices. I want to have the consumers make conscious decisions to pay just like a couple more cents for an apple that was grown using the best practices. I want to give farmers who are following the best practices more money, and the farmers who aren't, more incentive to do so. So, how do I do this? Well, it's pretty simple. First of all, we need some sort of base standard of best practices. So, in Europe, there's a couple of standards out there already. I know in Ontario, OMAFRA has set out a guideline, and so we'll use that. If they haven't been audited already, we'll go to them and we'll audit them, and we'll put that into our database. So then the next part is we take a phone. A consumer would take a phone and they would scan the product, and they would use that to trace back the product to its origin. And then they would see exactly what practices the farmer uses and whether they should buy or not buy that apple. So, how is this going to make money? First of all, the initial startup costs will be covered by the government. AgriTech is one of the Canadian sponsors of that. And then second of all, we will have major food markets whose business relies on looking good and stuff like that, such as Whole Foods and Sobeys, also pitch in. Then, for the rest of our product life, we'll have our costs covered by selling the data that we collect. So I just wanted to touch on some future improvements, because while this is great, there's definitely more that you can do. So for example, we want to put in IoT. So how much water was actually used in creating this device, and how much is required to actually make the product. We want to put this to more than just irrigation. For example, pesticides. I want to know what kind of pesticides are used in my products, but I don't see that. So that would be really nice to have. Also, we want to influence the farmers in a positive way. So for example, if I took a bite out of an apple, it tasted great, I'd like to tell the apple, or the farmer, that they did a really good job making this apple. I'm really happy. And that should be it. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
You've hit on a really interesting point that consumer-driven demand for technologies is important. The Environmental Farm Plan in Ontario is a great benchmark for being able to audit. I'm having a Sunday afternoon moment here. Talk to me a little bit about the difference that this is going to be as compared to, say, Canada Organic Standard when it comes to agricultural best practices, and how will you create that branding?
So the main difference to our competitors is that this is backed by blockchain technology, so that you'll know exactly where it comes from, like where your food comes from, and how it got there. Other than that, honestly, that is the difference.
My question then,
Yep.
I firmly believe that in the future we will actually sell food that will actually have a little label on it that will say X number of liters were used in the making of this product. I believe it's going to happen for every product that we buy. That's what I predict is going to happen, and it's going to be a marketing advantage for you to use less water than your neighbor. So I love this idea. What I'm not sure about is actually what is it you're pitching to us here today? Is it an app? Is it what is it exactly you're pitching?
So initially it would be an application, because we don't, these stores wouldn't have the infrastructure quite yet to actually put out, let's say, scanners or something like that out there for the general public to use. So right now it is an application along with a stamp, like a certificate, that this is indeed a green product.
So blockchain is being proposed for traceability in agriculture for lots of different applications. I guess water usage could be one. I just want to let you know, you may want to check out somebody, I think it's called MyFish out of BC. Basically, you scan a QR code on their packaging and you know exactly where that fish was caught, what time, all the details. And I see this being very similar to that.
Yeah, and I just wanted to add to that. We weren't planning on building our blockchain technology. We were planning on using existing ones. I think it's AgriLedger is one of the ones that I looked at. And they're already backed by a bunch of companies.
Did you say Hyperledger?
AgriLedger. Thank you for listening to my presentation.
And that was number 12. Thank you so much. Okay, so we are going to ask number 5 to come to the platform as the judges get themselves organized. Come on up, guys. Don't be shy. Okay, so. If you're not, stand over there. Do the hands. Okay? Do the tango. Do the tango.
All right, so I'm Joshua Moran.
My name is Harry Palmer.
He doesn't have a mic. This is Mazine. Thank you. And this is Sustainable Plants. Okay, next slide. So the biggest issue with sustainability and agriculture is just the lack of education on the topic. And I think that's really important, and we need to teach people what the actual issues are. So due to poor agricultural practices, the rates of erosion are increasing. So poorly recycled water and unused fertilizer causes damage to crops and is unsustainable. Issues like these need to be talked about. So our plan is to educate consumers on sustainably grown plants and why they matter. This educational tool will take form as an interactive information board. So this board will be sold to both big and local businesses specializing in plants. So the board will be able to educate consumers and increase ease of use for the customers and the business. So when consumers buy more sustainable plants, growers will be more susceptible and they will have to increase the amount of sustainable plants and they'll be way more sustainable because there's way more demand for it. So the information board is a large touchscreen with information on plant types, their details, as well as their location within the store. So the board explains why sustainably grown plants matter, and each plant on the board includes whether it was grown sustainably or not. The board also displays water quality, so a direct visual on the health of the water used can be seen. So this is going to be the main window that you see when you walk up to the board. It's going to be, kind of jumps out at you, so it picks your sight. There's a menu at the top in which you can select your different categories and what you want to see. So this would be a list of all the plant types currently in the store. So right here, there are selection menus on the actual plant types, and that takes to these two windows. So one is a more detailed information about what that plant is and whether it was sustainable. It has a description of it, and then on the right side there, you can see the location of where you can find that plant in the greenhouse. And the color of the box is going to coordinate to the header of the plant that you clicked on. So here we can see the two extra ones that really matter to us to teaching people. And this is going to be the water quality and the sustainability. So why should you actually care about this?
So not everyone, unfortunately, wants to get sustainable purchases underway. So we could have a loyalty card. So if you buy a sustainably grown plant or purchase at one of these stores where they have the kiosk, then you'll get points, which you can get discounts and further products on sale or whatever. So whether they want to buy sustainable or not, they can either buy sustainable or buy it for the rewards points, but either way, sustainable plants are being bought. So our financial issues, so on the information boards at the bottom, I don't know if you saw it there, but they have QR codes. And depending where you are, you scan the QR code for either more information, a purchase page, or going to a different website. The reward system, in a way, it pays for itself. You can get little cards, you can get a digital code to scan, but that will draw business to these places and to sustainable plants. And the more demand for sustainable plants there are, the more growers will want to grow them. So it kind of feeds into itself. And the royalty monetization, again, it'll draw more sales to the places where these kiosks will be. And yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
So again, what is your business model in regards to, is it leasing, is it direct sales, getting these kiosks to
you can take this one.
point of purchase sale locations?
We're trying to be a non-for-profit organization and pretty much take government programs with it to pretty much promote the use of the certified standard products, and pretty much because they are the better use for environment as well. Pretty much promoting them into big chain stores like Costco or Walmart.
Yeah, and for the actual monetization for it, we are hoping for a royalty monetization. So if we can get this system into a bigger store that has the capital to fool around and see if they can get something that works better for them, if they get this in and it makes, I don't know, grows their profits by 5%, then we can take a 1% royalty on that. So there are ways to monetize and actually earn value from this back, but originally starting, we do want to initially put this in through not-for-profit.
So are you looking to develop some sort of partnership programs with, let's say, a Home Depot or a Costco or a Walmart or something?
Exactly. With places that have big shopping centers or garden centers, that would be the perfect place for this, right? Because you could have it set up in front of the garden center, and when you're walking in, regardless if you want to or not, you're going to see this big board. It's going to have the weather. It's going to look good. You're going to be attracted to that. And then you're going to start scrolling through the list, and you'll be able to see things that are sustainable. And if you like that, then you can just click on it and go and find it and pick it up. So we do feel like just the attractiveness of it is going to raise potential customers. It's going to increase demand for that. And it's also going to teach people about sustainability and through all of these other really important things that, you know, we care about and should care about. So, yeah. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much. So our next team, which is so that was team number 6. Our next team is team number 6. Come on up. So that was team number 5. Team number 6 is coming up. Come on up. Oh, you're waiting for everybody else. Okay. So while team number 6 is getting their technology, team number 16, can you please ensure that your technology is over there? That would make things better, quicker, just quicker, not better, just quicker. Fantastic. Let's give it up for team number 6.
Hi, judges. Good afternoon. This is our team. My name is Samuel Thomas. Beside me is Sonia, and on the laptop is E.T. So this is just a broad overview about our solution. So what our solution is that we want to integrate a software-based solution that will help to detect diseases and pests through image recognition algorithms. So by doing so, with the use of AI technology, we will be able to maximize crop yield and the crop production, at the same time giving farmers helping farmers make well-informed decisions. Next slide. So as you can see, over here is the top 6 diseases that plague grapes. So from the downy mildew, powdery mildew, gray mold, the anthracnose, and the black rot is caused by a fungus, and the brown gall is caused by a bacterium. So next slide. So as you can see from this graph, that in 2018, the average price per ton was about $1,200. Now, as you can see, the trend from 2016 to 2018, it has slowly been decreasing. So now with our solution, we can prevent that decline and increase crop yield, production, and the quality of the grapes as well. So moving forward, so with our solution, as you can see, with the use of AI and machine learning algorithms, we'll be able to increase crop quality, as I mentioned before, as well as our software. It will be used in different types of hardware, such as drones, and different sensors as well. Moving forward, next slide. So,
we are presenting a really open-ended solution. It can be molded into a various number of hardwares, and what we aim to do here is empower farmers to use their data from their own farms and make decisions accordingly. While I understand that the hardware part of the problem is that I understand that there's bandwidth issues and connectivity issues. So we aim to introduce rowers that could handle the device, or it could be fitted into a tractor, or it could be fitted into a drone, or it can be handheld. And by that way, we aim to solve the connection issues as well. So U of T is currently researching self-driven drones, and if that technology comes up, this could be molded into that as well. So all in all, in conclusion, data-driven decisions to produce better yield and crop quality, that's what we aim to do here. Thank you.
So you're just suggesting a software like Drone Deploy, for example?
Pardon?
So you're just suggesting that you're going to create just a web-based service or an actual all-in-one where someone, you would have a service where they would actually come out to the location and conduct the survey and then take the data back?
So that's where it's open-ended, right? It can be implemented in so many ways. We're offering not just a software, but an integrated system. So, and it has a lot of future aspects as well. Predictive analysis, forecasting. We want the farmers to have the user interface that they are comfortable with. It needs to be scalable, I understand that, and that's why it could be a mobile application, a web application. Yeah.
Could you please talk about the hardware? What are you going to set up? I mean, what kind of cameras are required? What kind of computation and infrastructure do you need to get this working?
Okay, so while our solution focuses on the software, we want a device that uses cameras and sensors, and I understand that there are sensors out there, but it depends on the size of the farm and the farmers, how much they want to invest. So in terms of versatility, it totally depends on the farmer. We want to create a device which is portable, which can be handheld. We have a number of mobile applications now which can detect diseases or identify plants. We want to combine everything and integrate it into our system.
Are you planning to just use the visible spectrum?
Pardon?
Are you planning to just use the visible spectrum? Or do you see any benefits to using hyperspectral cameras?
So we plan on using the visual spectrum as well as different features such as weather data, soil quality, and different other features that will help our software to predict and also which will allow the farmer to make better decisions through our software. So to answer your question, not only will we be using the spectrum, we will also be using different methods, as I stated before. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And as our judges debrief, we are going to invite team number 16. But as they're making their way here, we're going to pick the next three. So we have team number 9. Please bring your technology over there. Followed by, so number 9, followed by number 7, followed by, I might as well do the last 4, number 4, And the final team will be number 2. So I'm going to read that again. Number 9, please bring your technology. You are next. Followed by number 7, bring your technology. Number 4, then number 2, and that will wrap things up. Okay? So, thank you very much. And now, up to you guys, number 16.
Thank you. Is this the clicker?
That's the clicker.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
16.
Ladies and gentlemen, and to the millions watching at home and abroad, bienvenue, buenas tardes, I'm Adam, this is Nor, Conrad, and Tom, and we've come to pitch to you our idea, Airbnbs.
So, Airbnbs and agritourism quick start guide. If the clicker wants to work. Yeah. I know, the clicker isn't working. Can we just hit the next screen, please? Thank you. So, the problem. Essentially, as the climate deteriorates and gets more dynamic, farm yields and income will become less stable year on year. An important factor, and farmers need to figure out different sources of income to make their businesses more viable in the long term, because farms are very marginal in revenue. Next slide. So the problem is essentially that there are 13 million tourists that visit the Niagara region every year, spending roughly $2 billion, $2 billion every year. 43% of those stay overnight, and overnight tourists spend more money in the region. Most accommodations for those tourists are in central tourism areas, meaning Niagara Falls, Niagara on the Lake. That means most tourist spending occurs in those regions, and that means other regions in the Niagara region, other areas in the Niagara region don't get those tourism dollars.
So now, our solution. We want to empower farmers to set up agritourism operations on their own operations. Next slide, please. So what we're going to do is we're going to set up an open source platform for farmers to find information about starting agritourism operations on their farms, help them navigate the regulatory hurdles, go through all the financial statements that they'll need, map out all the financial planning and everything. So our target market is farmers, municipalities who want to encourage agritourism, farming consultants who are assisting farmers in finding additional revenue streams for their farms to make them more sustainable, and then insurance providers who want to make sure that their clients are setting up effective operations.
And what we notice actually within the Niagara region with agritourism, since 2015, and on average a year, there's been it's been generating around $500 million, and then there's been an increase in trend of 20%. So which means more people are coming to Niagara, they're checking out farms, they're not just going to Niagara Falls, and that's that's good for like the people in the town of Lincoln.
In addition, there are 3 other major holistic benefits, those being education of individuals who are curious how the farm-to-table market works, the increase in the duration of the stay of somebody coming to visit to check out a farm, which will have benefits towards downstream processes, and of course, the farmers themselves who benefit from this process by taking in a constant source of revenue.
So this is the web app, this is what we're proposing essentially. Tom's just going to walk through the process. He's sitting down there with a mouse.
So as you can see, this is the town of Lincoln. It's kind of UI. This is the landing page for open source app. Any municipality will be able to contribute to this with their own shape files. This is also zoning. There's also wineries.
So we already mapped it. Every time you click on a zone, you'll get information essentially what we would deliver is data analytics, data analysis at a higher level, and then bring it down for farmers and consultants to use when they're setting up their turbines. So this is all the zoning information that we pulled, for example, when we were doing our research.
We also have created a fairly basic net asset value model using Microsoft Excel, which farmers can use. This is an example of what you would get out of this. It's fairly simplistic, where you have your initial capital expenditure and you have your revenues, which are offset by your operating costs, which occur on a year-to-year basis. You would input your numbers if you were interested in pursuing this business model, because there often are initial capital expenditures to opening your own Airbnb type business.
And that's all. Thank you very much.
Thanks.
Hi, you guys are very well prepared for this. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Is this something you were working on before the competition?
Oh, no, we built this all in the last 2 days.
Last
Actually, day, basically.
20 minutes, yeah.
Okay.
No,
cool.
not that long, not that short, but yeah, we built it over the last 48 hours.
Okay. So for your target audience, who's actually going to be shelling out the bucks for your service or your product, who would you say is the number one?
So our target audience, we listed them already. The farmers is the number one for sure, but consultants, insurance firms, and municipalities are all targets. However, I would like to state that this is not a revenue-generating model. It's an open source database that anyone can use, and that's why it's sustainable and people can contribute to it all the time.
Yes, our visionary friend there made the comment about building a really good service and then monetizing it afterwards. That was one of our thoughts.
Okay, so I'm a farmer and I want to go into this thing. How long is it going to take me to get through all of this information and setting it all up so I'm ready to start having people at my place?
So you would click on the link that we provide, and you would type in your address, and all the information is already provided for you. From that point onwards, you'd be able to see whether it'd be acceptable for you to, based on your municipality zoning area, whether it's acceptable for you to set up a bed and breakfast. It's all there on that first page. I wish we could show it again, demonstrate it again. And then it would take you to this page right here, and that would give you a breakdown of some estimates for a financial thing, our recommendations on how you can get started with marketing, and the details of the zoning regulation of your specific farm. So. Just click on a spot, Tom, anywhere.
Pull up, say the address would pull up in here, and you'd be able to click on the zone, and then say you're in an agricultural zone, you'd immediately be provided the link where you could go to the website, and this specific website needs to be set up for that specific zone.
And
The format of the website would remain the same, the information would change based on the zone you're coming from.
And to speak to the financial modeling aspect, there's maybe half a dozen inputs that you would put in there, so it's not a sophisticated Indigo Monte Carlo simulation type thing, but it would be a pretty quick.
A number of lower tier municipalities in Niagara have been tackling the informal rental sector and have actually said that we do not want to have informal rentals through Airbnb or Airbnb or whatever. How are you going to go about doing the lobbying necessary to open up the financial opportunity for individuals to do this?
So, sorry, your question is that municipalities aren't allowing people to open up their own bread and breakfasts?
Yes.
Right. So, obviously, we're not recommending people illegally set up their bed and breakfasts, and our model would demonstrate that, right? So this is primarily an information delivery capsule. If farmers would like an extra revenue source and it is allowed in their zone and in their municipality, then they're free to use our resources to help them set that up.
Yeah, we're not trying to lobby governments to do something they don't want to do, but we know for sure after speaking with the mayor of Lincoln that they are interested in increasing the capacity for temporary people for this year.
And I think that's our time, so thanks everybody.
Thank you very much.
As a matter of info, I think Pelham has just allowed it.
Oh, Awesome. That's great to know. Thank you very much. Thanks, guys.
Okay, that was number 16. Thank you so much, gentlemen. Now we have number 9 coming up. I see the technology is all nice and ready. And if our judges are ready, then now if there's any speaking, it has to be done on the microphone, or else our lovely online guests hear nothing. So it's not as riveting for them. And we want to keep it interesting. Okay? Are you ready? Fantastic. Here you go.
The remote is here.
The remote is, yes.
Perfect. Okay.
Okay. Hello, everyone. So our challenge that or our company that we're talking about is a system called AgriTech, where we believe that transparency in the system is what generates trust. The challenge, and I'm not going to go too much depth into the whole system, is about soil erosion and maintaining irrigation. And the biggest challenge that was called out had to do with consumer education. So how are we going to be dealing with this issue is that the technology already exists on an industrial scale, for greenhouses, for farms to track everything they're putting in and is coming out of their farms. We need to encourage them to actually adopt that technology. And we're going to do that by educating the consumers that are buying products at greenhouses, at garden centers, so that the plants in the soil that they're buying, they know what they're getting. Our plan is to create a certification process for greenhouses and producers so that consumers know what they're getting. They know what's in the pots and the plants that they're bringing home. They know what's in the soil. They know how things might interact with each other. We want to empower people to make informed purchasing decisions and encourage sustainable thinking. Our plan, our approach, is to work with consumers at the retail level. So the system would be to put a certification process within and look to tag products that have met this certification so that they know what they're getting and they know that it's going to meet our sustainability goals. We also want to encourage and identify companies and producers that are already doing this. There are farms out there that are doing these best practices, and we want to reward them, and we want consumers to reward them by choosing to purchase their products. So, ask yourself, when the last time you've been to a garden center and you're buying a plant, have you ever actually gone through these questions? Did you ever think about how did the producer grow this plant? What was in the soil that in the greenhouse or in the field in terms of pesticides, in terms of nutrients that you should know about before you put this plant into your yard? And finally, how is this going to affect my garden? Because soil erosion is not just a challenge on farms in terms of sustainability, but with urban sprawl and people buying home and making home gardens, we want to make sure that we're managing soil erosion and maintaining soil quality and worrying about groundwater runoff within urban environments and suburban environments as well. So the result that we're talking about is educated consumers, trust through the whole process, certification to clearly show growers are keeping sustainable practices, and ultimately consumers drive producers to better practices. With that, we're suggesting the AgriTech certification. There's 4 key categories that the certification will work off of, which is sustainability, process consistency, fertilizer methods, and pest control methods. We're going to quickly hop over to a demo from our website. So in our certification method, you'd be able to actually see, if we can scroll down for a minute, please, the individual subcategories that we're going to be working with. For example, process consistency, is there traceability, what the water usage is, what the carbon footprint is, what the efficiency of their inputs are. And out of all of these categories, if you hit all 4 of these categories for this process, you get a gold certification, 3, a silver, 2, a bronze. If you have 1 or 0, you don't even get the certification at all. So as an example, we can click on a grower that has been certified, and consumers can go and look at what they produced and what their certification is, what they've been classified as, what their consumption is, all of these things. And so we also talk about doing a phased approach. So initially we deal with retail partnerships to roll this out on a basic level and work with producers that are already meeting these requirements. Phase 2 is to start encouraging producers to put this logo on their packaging, start working with soil producers and compost producers to put this on their packaging. And finally, in phase 3, we link compatible products together, knowing that certain products require certain nutrients or come from certain place, are going to play better in a field or in a home garden. And I believe that's our time. Thank you. Any questions? We also encourage, if you guys want, we can dig through the website a little bit more, depending on your questions.
Fantastic idea. The grape growers of Ontario and the craft wineries of Ontario already have a similar program right now. I know that because I'm an auditor for them. And so they have an environmental sustainability program where if they pass, they can actually put a little logo on their bottle of wine to say we're environmentally sustainable. And I encourage you. I just think it's a great idea, and good on you to do it. I think it's high time we do something like this.
So my question is, what are the costs involved for the producer, and how are you going to actually enforce it? It's not self-certified, is it? Somebody's going to go and verify the claims.
Yeah, so our process would be to actually look at what they're doing, and we would be certifying them. So similar, in some cases, would be similar to, say, the ISO 9001 certification, and we'd also be taking into account any other certifications that they might already have. So if they've already been certified by another body as being organic or as being 100% pesticide-free, or using, the ISO 9001 certification, that indicates that they're meeting some of these criteria that we're already looking for in terms of process consistency and all that kind of stuff. For the most part, we also want to be able to know, do they track this information, and do they publish or make available the information, for example, the types of pesticides or pest control methods that they're using, so that the consumers can actually see what it is that they're buying. The entire process and goal here is about transparency for the end customer. So rather than just a certification that says organic, we want our consumers to understand what that actually means and what they're actually getting. No other questions?
I have just one more comment. You said you have three different labels, bronze.
3 different tiers, yes.
3 different tiers. I have a feeling only the people in the top tier are going to be willing to market it, put that label on their product. The other 2 won't bother. Why not have a single label?
Because we want to encourage people to do better. So if we are scoring people and we're giving them, and they're not getting the gold or they're not getting the gold and they're getting a silver or bronze, we want them to be incentivized to adopt those practices and do better. We want them to look further ahead. And at the same time, they're still further ahead than their other competitors. If you're a silver, you're still better than your bronze or your uncertified or unclassified competitors. Aside from that, you also have the benefit of being able to, if you have a higher certification, you have the potential to be able to sell your product at a premium rate because it has these additional certifications and validations associated to it. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Okay, so while our judges debrief, if we could have team number 7 please come to the platform. And following team number 7 will be team number 4. So please make sure your technology is over there ready to go. And after team number 4 will be our final team, which is team number 2. So, hello. So, is anybody else presenting with you? Yes. Okay. That's perfect. So whoever's not presenting, stand on the randoms and just flip this way. Okay. Okay. And okay. This way, I believe.
Good afternoon. I'm Bruno, this is Pedro, and that is Chi. We are here to present our solution for the pest and disease challenge. First of all, Ontario faces an economic loss, around 30%, regarding pests and disease. However, globally is a loss around $0.5 to $1.5 billion. To understand that, we need to understand the triangle, the disease triangle, that contains the host, the pathogen, and the environment. Pathogens are bacteria, fungus, parasites that contaminate your crop, and those agents can destroy the nutrition and the sensory properties of your product. The environment is our solution using essential oils. Essential oils are one alternative to synthetic products. They have bacterial, fungicidal, and antiparasitic activity. And the most important, they are environmental friendly. To obtain one essential oil is very simple. You choose one plant, you have one extraction, and if you choose the right oil, you can use, in this example, just 4 ppm of the solution. It means 4 parts per million in a solution. You can put the solution inside water of bottle and you can spray. With this spray, you can hit your target. You can hit your disease plant.
Okay, talk about the host. Basically, we're going to explain how our system is going to work. So, how we're going to spray our product. So basically, the drone is going to capture the images between the crops or inside the greenhouse. Sending the images between the system is going to make an analysis. If the analysis in our database from the supplier of the software analyze that if the crop is okay, the system is going to keep scanning. If it has some issue with the crop, it's going to send an information to the computer, and then it's going to trigger the robot. The robot's going to the specific place and do a target spray with the essential oil. The target of that is to break all of that, so all the triangle can be broken and has no more connection with this. And with this, obviously, we want to provide more food. With more food, we can reach one of the goals from UN, United Organizations. Number 2 of them, by 2000, can you imagine a world where everyone can have food all year round? So we can. In 2015, 192 countries, they signed an agreement called Sustainable Development Goals to end hunger and malnutrition in the world, promote sustainable agriculture, and also support small farms. They plan to have that by 2030. And you guys. Thank you very much.
There are literally thousands of essential oils. Which ones are you going to target?
Sorry, again?
There are thousands of different essential oils. Which class of compounds are you going to work with?
We are trying to reach especially fungus that produce mycotoxins, aspergillus, ochratoxin, this kind of parasites.
Do you have any cost comparison with, especially compared to the traditional chemicals to make it viable for farmers?
Sorry, again?
How much is your solution going to cost the farmer compared to a standard chemical-based solution?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay, so based on our research, the solution is going to be around $3,000 for 50 milliliters of that. But we are not just thinking of the price of the solution. That is going to be diluted, as Bruno said, 0.004 liters in 1 liter of water, and you can spray that over 2 years, the content. But yes,
the main target is going to be eco-friendly, not any kind of chemical that, even though is approved by Health Canada, can cause a little damage, not just for the consumer, but the person who's going to do is spray that.
Yeah, I'm not sure we got a response to Amy's question. Like, I'm familiar with things like neem oil and those kinds of essential oils. What essential oils are you looking to use to address, I think, the diseases that you mentioned, which are particularly fungal?
So it depends. We have a lot of oils in our market. So you need to understand who is your target, who is your pathogen, and choose the right oil. I can say this oil in specific is a classified oil, and I can show you later, but you need to have a research about which kind of oil will reach your target.
What do you mean it's classified? Is that proprietary to you?
Not proprietary, but like it's made by a research by myself. So I research essential oils for at least 2 years, and depending on which oil you choose, which plant you use, you can reach a different target. If your problem is a bacteria, you can use plants in one family. If you choose to reach a target for fungus, you need to select another kind of plants.
So that's your intellectual property?
Not at all, because everyone can search about it, so.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. And now we are going to move on to our before last team. So we still have 2 more. So number 4, if you could come to the platform, that would be great. And followed by number 2. Number 2, please have your technology over at the table and be ready on the sidelines. And once we follow number 2, then the judges will debrief and we'll take a break. And then we'll gather together once the judges have come to the a consensus as to our winners, and of course we'll divulge that information. So number 4, please, come to the platform.
Everybody needs to speak to the microphone. All right, let's make sure this thing, good. Good to go? All right, good evening, everybody. My name is Jordan. I'm going to be presenting. We're Team 4, and our company that we want to propose some ideas is called Emergent. We were tasked with the challenge of finding an issue for educating consumers about sustainability practices that are being employed in the agriculture sector. So, enough introduction about me. I want to introduce you to somebody else. Wrong way. There we are. So, early on Friday night, we approached Nicole and we said, hey, are we going to get the opportunity to sit down with farmers and kind of pick their brains, really understand what the problems, the challenges that they are encountering and facing in this sort of area? And lo and behold, she said, hey, next day, I found somebody for you. Found exactly in the, this is Rodney. He specializes in horticulture. His company is called Sunrise Greenhouses, and they employ a whole host of different sustainability practices, a very closed system for water. They collect rainwater and use that into their system, and it's solar powered. So we thought this was fantastic, and we wanted to scream it from the rooftop. So we said, Rodney, how well is the reception to, like, what have you tried so far? And he said the typical issues with things like QR codes is that there's absolutely no engagement. Gave me some numbers about how many products they ship a year, and the actual engagement rate was abysmal. And so we thought, you're inundated by so many links every day that you don't want to click, you don't want to explore. There needs to be some novelty, some signal to the noise. And we thought, okay, well, how can we do that? That wasn't there before. So we thought, an idea popped into our head. And the idea came from, it was somebody who was defrauding banks. And what he was doing was he was using appearing ink that would show up in a delayed period of time on checks. So by the time it transferred and it went to another bank, it would read differently. And so we use this same sort of principle. So somebody would buy a flower, they would take it home, it would maybe sit on their shelf for a week or so before they're presented a message. It could be, water me, maybe not a good message, dead flowers is good for business. But it could be something different every time, that increased novelty. But it would also say, thank you for doing your part for contributing to sustainability. Find out how, visit this quick little link. And so if somebody followed this link, they'd be presented with, thank you for helping the environment. Here's a little profile on the farmer and our practices that we're doing. Maybe some things on the actual product, and some more initiatives about sustainability. And so this breeds awareness. This is huge. And so we wanted to, what is the value of this? So we looked at comparing to the organic market. It's growing 15% year over year. And the premium everybody's seen in the superstore, it's very expensive. But two of the top reasons that people choose organic is because the reduced impact to water and also reduced soil erosion, which is right up our alley. And 66% of the global population are willing to spend more for sustainable products, and 73% when you're considering millennials. So it's definitely growing in the future. Now, if you look at the bottom, we have maybe a little hard to read, but if you enter your email, you could claim that as a loyalty point, or you could donate that as a contribution to local sustainability initiatives in your area. And so we wanted to explore how can we take this further and help partner and further that sustainability outreach. And so the loyalty programs, we see them a lot. The valuation on things like Optimum are absolutely absurd because the data is so valuable. It increases revenue, people are more engaged, they spend more, they spend more frequently. And also these insights that they get can help engage where are people that are concerned with sustainability most prevalent, and where are those places that we need further outreach to engage and raise that awareness and capture that market. So rather, a lot of companies, they've tried their own loyalty programs, but they tend to be for the individual company, which is definitely difficult, especially a lot of small independent farmers. So the big picture would be that you could capture those trends across the industry, offer more insights than any company would be able to individually, and further contribute to sustainability. Thank you very much.
Where'd you get the pot idea?
The pot idea? So we were actually talking to Rodney, and one of the things, they're moving towards biodegradable pots right now. They have most of the packaging already, and it's actually a memo. Loblaws is saying, hey, we want to eliminate black plastic, move towards those sort of things. They tend to be very disposable, impulsive items, under $5. You pick on and you end up throwing it out. It's a temporary shelf life. But it's very a predictable lifetime. So which goes especially for the sort of technology.
And how does the ink work?
So the ink, we're looking at a couple of things. So there's traditional inks, but we want to explore more biodegradable friendly solutions. So we were looking at like a rate-limited enzyme sort of setup. So like the same sort of oxidation that happens in apples or a lot of other plants and fruits, you could apply to something like this. Obviously, it'd be a little bit different time scale, but in the same principle of applying lemon juice to apples, you can keep them for browning for an extended period of time. Any other questions?
So when it comes to applying the ink,
yes,
who's going to apply it?
So the idea would be that we would have a contract cooperation with people specializing in bioplastics, and then spray on from pots we purchase from them, and then ship outward. I know that bioplastics are being explored. Actually, I think somebody involved with Spark here in Niagara looking at exactly that. Yes.
Yes, but the good thing is that flowers, you can predict their shelf life. You know that it's average like 2 weeks. Within 2 weeks, like you have your flower, and unpredictably, like you have a message there, which was not there before. So you are tempted to check it out, as opposed to like traditional QR codes where people don't pay attention to it because there's so much information out there. So
we definitely considered the difference between, okay, how long are these pots going to be sitting on the shelf? Due that these tend to be oxidation reactions, we thought it could be applied and like a label be put on top, or exploring perhaps if it's just a spray-on solution, that could be something that the actual, when they're packaging the product, could apply.
Do you envision sort of specialized, individualized messages?
Yeah, so we had a little tiny link at the very bottom there. So depending on what gets put on that pot, that could be specific, like that would be linked to that manufacturer of the plants. And also those messages, we would want to change and have not just water me, because then not only the novelty of getting that the first time and telling your friends, it would be a different message every time you get it, and so it would drive for, like a fortune cookie.
I can imagine a $5 item jumping to $20 just because people want to have their own individual message.
If the market's there, 100%. Thank you very much for your time and questions.
Thank you so very much. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we are down to our final team. And that would be team number 2, if you guys want to come on up. And for the record, not by design, they are far more, for the most part, the youngest team we have here, and they've had to wait till last. So very patient, but this is our final team. Let's give them the attention that they deserve. Thank you so much. Come on up, guys. Yeah, whoever's speaking on the mic, go in front, everybody else stand on the side where the boxes are.
Reusing They can't see it yet. Reusing irrigation water.
The main problem, water waste during irrigation. According to the UN Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, 60% of water used for irrigation is wasted.
Wasting that amount of water can lead to soil erosion, fertilizer runoff, and multiple other problems. Our solution, if executed correctly, should reduce that number by a significant margin.
Solution. A subsurface drainage tubing system can be used to redirect excess water back into irrigation systems or water tanks to be filtered and reused.
When the previously used water is used to help with the plants, it goes through a charcoal filter and then a solar distillery located on site to be distilled, leaving dirt, and can be used repeatedly.
This is an approximate blueprint of the underground drainage tubing system, with the crops on top and a sheet of geotextile filter cloth separating the fertile soil and the standard dirt in the area. The tubing would be buried in the standard dirt, while the crops would be planted in the fertile soil. The water would flow down through the geotextile filter cloth into the holes in the tubing system and flow to the next.
Okay. So, when the water goes from the tanks, the water tanks, it goes through the filtration system, going down to the purification system, all the way down to the water storage tanks, so then it can go to the irrigation system, down to the crops, and all the excess water from that process gets collected, and the whole process continues. And the energy for that, the systems, it comes from solar panels located on site.
This is where you get the water from. It starts out on a lake, and then when you open the gate, that would be around the tank. The water would come into the first tank, and when it was full, you'd close the gate, and it would be controlled by farmers who would ask through an app, or they'd just contact the place, and they'd say, we need water in, say, tank B or C. The water would come there if you need it in B, and then sometimes if you need it in C, you'd open that gate as well, and it would go into tank C. And you just shut the gates, and if you're low on water, you just get it from Lake Ontario.
Improving efficiency. The system, made of series of pipes and tanks, would always have water and would only use the water that the soil needs. It would direct unused water back into the pipes, then to holding tanks for use. The system could travel from the original source to places with little water, making it more efficient.
Okay. Each tank would have pipes reaching out from them, acting as catch basins.
How will farmers know when their crops need irrigation? A modified ohmmeter-like system would be implanted, measure soil conductivity. Irrigated soil is better conductor because of electricity current than dry soil.
So, why Lake Ontario? The main reasons are that Lake Ontario is 342% the volume of the next closest lake, Lake Erie. And there's been rising water levels that I've actually seen myself around the Port Dalhousie area in particular. And using the water in Lake Ontario can reduce that effect. If the system were to spread to northwestern Ontario, we'd start drawing from Lake Superior.
An economic view. The cost of materials for a quarter of Ontario is $450 million. Ideally, the funding would come from the government funding. The government gets billions of dollars for food exports.
According to Statistics Canada, government expenditures in support of the agricultural and agri-food sector are estimated to be $5.4 billion in 2016. In addition to public funding, which is estimated to be $557 million in 2016. Over-irrigation can kill alfalfa, which is used to feed livestock and grows in Ontario. Our solution could prevent crop loss due to over-irrigation, thus increasing profits from exports and paying for itself and reducing water that's overspent. And then it's okay. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations, guys. You did quite a bit of work, especially on the economic side. I wanted to tell you such a system already exists. They use it in sports fields. So they have pipes with holes and a fabric on top of it, and it's surrounded by sand so that the fields don't flood.
I have one in my yard too. It's called a tile drain and holding pond. And I feel, meanwhile I'm going, you guys are awesome, because do any of you live on a farm? Do you have a holding pond? No. Do your neighbors have a holding pond?
Yeah.
Is your farm tile drained? Do you have a ditch in front of your house?
Yeah.
So tile drains are very, very common. That said, I love the fact that you guys are up there. How old are you?
I'm in grade 8.
You're in grade 8? Oh my gosh. I want to totally encourage you to keep doing this. Keep doing this because you have so much to learn, and I love your enthusiasm.
And that, ladies and gentlemen, was our final team to compete. Thank you guys so much. You have been an amazing patient audience. Thank you, judges. So we are going to take some time right now, say about 20 minutes, for the judges to debrief and whatever, so stretch, whatever. Online audience, stay tuned. We're going to do a little bit of a pause, but don't go too far because we'll be back because you are definitely going to want to know who won this competition. Thank you.
all that stuff. So I got one there.
Paul and the mayor.
Both of these mics will be hot at the same
Yeah.
time.
So Paul and the mayor are going to be here. Teal will be here receiving the certificate, and then to take it, they might come forward and say something. So that's what we're going to play. So here's the question. Do we want, when we take the picture, for the winners, do we want to have
Yeah, right down here. All of them? How many are there?
So there's no, we're not going to do all of them at once. So it would be like first prize comes out. There's only 4 kids. Yeah.
Then we catch 4 or 5 people.
Yeah. So my thinking is when the 4 people are here, the mayor, that's the most important. Paul, the mayor, and the 4 kids.
Where are they
standing? They're coming here.
So they're going to be one group.
Yeah. So 4
This is going to be a
kids.
separate group.
No.
Like the podium separate.
So listen to this. 4 kids here. The mayor and Paul hanging the check and the certificate. So that's the picture. The person at the podium is a
They get a
mayor.
check?
Huh?
They get a check?
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. Who's speaking?
I'm going to be announcing.
So your podium.
Yeah.
And these guys, so they're not going to be speaking on there.
No.
Okay.
No. So that's what I'm thinking. If we have the 4 people here, mayor and Paul hanging the thing, we want the banners to get hot on the picture, right? That's what I'm thinking.
You want to bring the banners in?
Yes. I think so.
Okay,
Or
but
is
if you
that-
bring them in, I can't get everybody on stage.
No, it's just for the, you mean everybody, like the 4 people?
No, like all 78 people.
No, we're not getting them on the stage.
Okay, so
No,
let's
no,
pull
no.
them out.
Yes, that's what I can.
And I need blackness to do it, and otherwise it looks.
I didn't think they meant.
Well, I didn't know. I didn't have
I know.
slides presented.
So for the entire picture, I think we're just gonna do it. See, we're behind the judges' chairs. We're just gonna get everybody to sit there, and then yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So this is just cool. everybody. Hi. Could I have everybody's attention, please? Our fine judges have come to a consensus, but before we divulge and go live, what we would love to do is take a beautiful group shot of everybody together with the judges sitting in front before the end. So if y'all could come together, I would be happy to take, yes, I'll take one for you as well.
Thanks, Nicole.
I'm higher than everybody else? Because if I try to do a selfie, it'll just all go bad. Although I could from here. I just can't from there. Okay. You guys do need to squeeze in just a little this way. Can we make like... okay. You need to move in just a... Guys, what a good-looking bunch of people. Just telling you. Smart and beautiful. Just saying.
Yeah, I'm waiting. So, okay. Okay. So we're going to announce the winners in the elementary and high school category. So the winner of the first place for this category is team. Second? Okay. I guess we'll start with the second then. Sorry. Oh, it was close. It was close. All right. So winner of the second place for the elementary to high school team was the team that did the presentation on reusing irrigation and water. And they were in the infrastructure category. So please come on stage and get your second prize. After they come in, I'll get to say something as to why. Once they come in here, I'll let you, yeah. So, second place winner. Yeah. So that will be for them.
Come over, folks. There you go. Mary, come on in. Picture. Everyone looking over here. Oh, you come up. Can you get us all?
I got y'all. Guys look good. Fantastic. Thank you guys so much. I'm gonna have one of the judges sort of explain why you guys got second place in the criteria, a little bit based on the criteria. So go ahead, Hugh.
Okay, guys, it was a tough decision, particularly for all the younger teams, right? Because all of us are thrilled that you guys are getting involved in AgTech, right? There's a big future in this for all of you. The only thing we'd say, and the reason you didn't win first prize, you might want to do a little bit more homework in how things are done on the farm, all right? There's a little bit of research that you needed to do. That's all. Congratulations.
Great job.
And the winner for this, the elementary category, high school category, for first prize is the team that did the AgroGrow Agri-Systems. Please come on up. This team competed in the production and environment category, so congratulations.
So the reason we picked AeroGrow is not because I have a preference with vertical growing or vertical grow tubes. It's about the amount of work that the team's done, and it's also about the way they presented the project. Actually, it was very, very well done. And again, continue thinking about AgTech. There's a lot of opportunities there. All right? Thank you very much. It's a nice chunk of little cash for them, right? Jeez.
So I'm going to announce for the post-secondary professional category, I'm going to announce third place. So the winner of the third place for this category, they were in the ecotourism and I think it was ecotourism and sustainability. So they went into the winner of this third place is team number 16. Yeah. With their Airbnbs app.
Congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, we forgot one. Who's in for a photo, guys?
They're representing Brock University today, so big kudos to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
All right, so at this stage it gets kind of difficult and we're getting into the big money. You should have lost some points because some of you guys dropped your suit jackets. What's the matter with you? All right, so first of all, it was a great presentation. They do address a great aspect of our local economy, and that's agricultural tourism. There is a lot of it happening now with the wine industry, which is great, so you've got some place to take off from. We need to grow it beyond the grape growing region, but I think we also need to grow our agricultural crops in that region as well. I think corn and soy just won't do it. Anyways, very good job, and you have potential. All right, good luck.
So the winner of the second prize on the, post-secondary and professional category is team number 11. Thank you. Team number 11 with the EG Force app, Niagara College. Maybe I should go like this.
Thank you so much.
What would it do without you?
I think I remembered all those numbers in my head now. All right. One very quick word about this one. There's at least two of us here on the panel that farm. We'd be using that app tomorrow. All right? So get it moving. Thank you.
Thank you for the kind word. Thank you.
Good luck. Thank you.
So I will announce now the first place for this category, and it goes to team number 4, coming up with the Emergent app. Go Durham!
Congratulations.
Wait, can you send me this picture? Yeah,
All right. One quick word. This team actually stood out for all the judges, I think, because they were certainly one common, highly rated team. And key to this was really a combination of innovation. It was a really good idea. I deal a lot with greenhouses. I can think of a few that would adopt that kind of a concept because it's also about marketing. It's great. And the presentation was just well done. So congratulations.
Thank you so much. Good job.
On behalf of Spark first before I go? Okay,
Use the money wisely. That's your startup capital.
I'll thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. Okay. Stay over here. Okay. Wow, what can I say? Congratulations to everybody. This was a fantastic event this weekend. A fantastic turnout, well beyond the imaginations that I think anyone had between the town of Lincoln and Spark Lincoln. So I just wanted to thank everyone, and a big round of applause to you all, so thank you. I did, obviously this event couldn't happen without a number of our sponsors, but before I get there, I did want to shout out and say thank you to Spark Lincoln for making this happen. To Dino, to Dave, to Francia, to Nicole, Dan and Dave, and Anna and Nathan, and I'm sure I'm probably missing some, but to everybody at Spark, thank you very much. Your dedication over the last little bit really helped pull this together, so a big round of applause to you. Thank you. I do want to personally thank our judges this afternoon as well. Your expertise in providing insight to the teams was invaluable, so thank you very much. In addition, over the course of the weekend, we did have a number of panelists, keynote speakers, and mentors that did provide some guidance to our teams, so thank you to them as well. As I had quickly mentioned, obviously this event wouldn't have happened without some of our sponsors, so I will name a few just to begin with. There are a bunch of other ones on our website, so I do encourage you to go and look at them, but a special shout out to HP, Intel, Microsoft, CompuGen, Corneve Produce, AgriTech Venture Forum, the Ramada Beacon Hotel, Sunrise Greenhouses, Provide Agro, and the Greenbelt Foundation for your special assistance for this weekend for making it happen, so thank you. In addition, of course, special shout out to the staff and students here at Beamsville District Secondary School, and especially to Claudio Marchesi and the culinary program for providing the food this weekend and the venue. So thank you very much to them. In addition, we did provide or get some gifts from Ravine Winery and Fielding Estates for some of the gifts for the judges and such. So thank you to them for their participation. And of course, to Digital Tree for the live streaming and the audio tech this weekend, so thank you to them. So it is now my pleasure to invite Mayor Sandra Easton up to the podium to provide some remarks. Mayor Sandra Easton is the mayor of the town of Lincoln, which we're in, so Mayor Easton, over to you.
Thank you very much. I want to particularly thank the students and the teams who were so gracious as we came along, the curious, I think you would call us. We wanted to know how you were thinking. Mostly, I was interested in how you got along when you were having your conversations without group leaders, such an interesting and dynamic nominal process. A person of my age only knew what to do when people told you what to do it. So good for you, because that's why you're here today, and that's why the future for Niagara looks particularly promising. So to the judges and the keynotes and the expert panelists and to Chef Claudio, who, if he hadn't been here and the culinary program didn't exist, you would have all starved, because I came to understand how important food was to you as well. This has been the first ever AgriTech Hackathon in Ontario and the first in Beamsville. So we are very, very proud as a community to have been able to host this. We're over the moon thrilled with the results and the diverse ideas and solutions that all of you presented to us. And today is a culmination of the cold call speed dating that you were doing with each other. It's the only thing I could compare it to in order for you to get down to the brass tacks of the results that you had today, because I wouldn't have shown much hope by what I saw on Saturday. So it's amazing the kind of miracles that occurred over the last few hours. And to have both elementary and secondary and post-secondary involvement in this first event is really particularly endearing, I think, to the council and the investment that has been made by everyone here, not just the town of Lincoln. We are a community in Lincoln that has embraced the principle that the economy grows when producers can control the full value chain. And many of your ideas today were actually supporting that, whether you knew it or not. We have in Lincoln deliberately developed a policy within our official plan to support a solutions-based economy. And when you can have this level of diversity and complexity come forward, there will be no shortage. You don't have to follow a rule book, because you just need to sit down with those who understand what it is that you have in mind and have a meaningful conversation. And so in Lincoln, several years ago, I think about 6 years ago, as a matter of fact, we labeled ourselves as a C of E for Ag. That is Center of Excellence for Agriculture. And we require the stimulation in many forms, and the Ag Hackathon is one that we can annually say will bring outstanding ideas into our town and into Niagara. It's shown itself to be an excellent example of how smart youth can influence the future of their local communities. I want to thank the local councillors who came out, more of the curious, Councillor Reimer and Councillor Mikulik and Councillor Brunet. And today we have our regional councillor, Rob Foster, with us, and we also have regional councillor Laura Yip, and her young son was in that first team that won a few $100s. Zach was with that team. So thank you very, very much, all of you. To Paul Deaney, who is our Economic Development Officer, the first ever in the town of Lincoln, for showing us the way, for showing us that we really need to jump out of the box in order to think out of the box. And so it's just beyond all of our imagination that we could have had 15 teams here. This is a big gym, and you just took the whole thing up. And it really was remarkable, because I understand that you're lucky to get 15 people at these events. So thank you so much, Paul, for all your hard work. And for Spark Niagara, we have to give Niagara Falls some credit here, because Spark was conceived in Niagara Falls. However, I will say it was delivered in Beamsville. Hack on.
Mayor Easton, thank you for those wonderful remarks. And once again, this was the first ever agricultural hackathon in the province of Ontario. We're thrilled to have it here in our community. And the goal is to make this a yearly event. So when you get home, tell your friends, tell your family members, and keep looking at the website, because we're going to do this again next year. So thank you to everybody, and have a wonderful rest of your weekend. Thank you. And last thing, please return your lanyards on your way out. We're going to reuse those. Thank you. Good comments.
There you go. I took a bunch, so you can always